That looks lovely. So tonight I'm dining at Per Se. 10 out of 10. That was a damn good cherry. I'm Sharonda Robinson. Welcome to Table for One, where every meal you are the occasion. Welcome back to Table for One. I'm your host, Sharonda Robinson, professional eater, farm girl turned global foodie, and your guide to turning a solo meal into an act of self-discovery. This isn't just about what's on the plate. It's about what the experience feeds in your soul. Now this one feels grounded, intentional, very earthy, just what you need when you are stressed out by life. I spent a quiet afternoon at Le Jardinier in Houston, which is housed inside the Museum of Fine Arts. And the setting alone tells you this place is where artistry matters. The restaurant sits within the museum campus, and I was seated at a table looking out into the sculpture garden, surrounded by art, light, and beauty. It felt like dining inside a living gallery. Le Jardinier means the gardener, and that philosophy shows up everywhere, on the plate, in the space, and in the pace of the experience. Le Jardinier is led by Chef Alain Verzeroli, a Michelin-starred chef who trained under Chef Joël Robuchon. Both chefs spent about 2 decades together in Japan, so Japanese cuisine deeply informs their style. Chef Alain's approach centers vegetables, seasonality, and balance, not as trends, but as discipline. I chose the Taste of Winter menu, a 4-course seasonal tasting menu, and everything about it felt right for the moment. Rich, earthy, savory, and deeply comforting. Just what your stressed out girl needed. So as I sipped my mocktail, I had delicious bread and butter that was warm and sweet and beautiful. It reminded me of the bread I used to make with my mother. So the first course that was delivered was the burrata. It's paired with figs, treviso, which is a chicory lettuce that has a mild, bitter, and earthy flavor, pecan gremolata, and fruit compote. It's earthy, creamy, balanced, and beautifully composed. A really nice opening. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I added to the tasting menu the deviled eggs, which are topped with smoked trout roe and chives. Familiar but elevated. And I gave the deviled eggs a 9 out of 10. Next came the wild mushroom vol au vent. It was a little hard to cut, but once I got into it, it was filled with Parmesan cream and chanterelles, finished with watercress and spinach coulis. Earthy, buttery, very French. I gave this dish a 7 out of 10. For the main course, I had the Steelhead trout. When it first came out, I thought it was salmon. I had to do some research, y'all, and learn that steelhead trout is the name given to rainbow trout that migrate to the sea. And this lovely dish was prepared with Ponzu butter sauce, tempura mushrooms, ginger chives, and bok choy. The trout was perfectly cooked, and the Ponzu butter added just enough brightness to balance the richness of the dish. I mentioned the Japanese influence. Well, the tempura mushrooms represent the very best of what was originally a Japanese street food. For the dish, I gave it a 9 out of 10, but those fried mushrooms, 10 out of 10. I also added to the tasting menu the Carolina Gold rice risotto. It came with blue oyster mushrooms, squash, mimolette, which is a cow's milk cheese that gets its color from the annatto seed, and pickled peppers. It was creamy without being heavy, layered and grounding, the kind of dish that encourages you to slow down and relax. And let me tell you, because that mocktail was so good, I ordered another one. Absolutely 10 out of 10. And then dessert. A pear tart with elderflower, chantilly, and lemon cream. It was a light and floral dish, just delicious. And it was a thoughtful ending that didn't overwhelm the meal. I gave that a 10 out of 10. What stood out just as much as the food was the staff. They were truly incredible, warm and attentive, and I really enjoyed the service that they gave me during my meal. See, Le Jardinier isn't trying to impress you with spectacle. It invites you into a philosophy, one rooted in seasonality, restraint, and respect for the ingredients. And I love that this level of dining exists inside of one of Houston's most beautiful cultural spaces. So the bill came, and the tasting menu is about $90 per person at lunch. And with my add-ons, my total was about $166, worth every penny. Now, this was a true table for one moment. I mentioned that I was stressed out, y'all, but this meal and the setting totally relaxed me, and I was able to reflect on that after my meal. See, sometimes you don't need loud or flashy, you just need to be present. That's exactly what your soul needs. So until next time, remember, you are the occasion. Love you. Well, I just finished a lovely meal in Houston at Le Jardinier, I believe is how you pronounce it. But several times during the meal, I was overcome with emotion because I realized how tense I was and that I was trying to force myself to enjoy the moment. And when I realized I was bringing that tension into this experience and letting it go was just, I gave myself permission to let it go. And it was overwhelming for me to give myself permission to not have those hectic thoughts and to bring that hectic energy into this sacred experience of me taking care of me. At Table for One, the focus is on our own self-care over a wonderful meal served by wonderful people and a time to reflect on not only how we nourish ourselves physically, but also how we nourish ourselves emotionally and spiritually. And so my reflection today was on giving myself permission to make mistakes and to learn and grow from those mistakes and not have to be perfect and not have to feel like I've got to get it right the first time, but to honor the mistakes as part of the journey. When I filmed my first session, my first episode of Table for One, it was not good. I mean, the lighting, the sound, but I decided to put it out here in the universe anyway because it's part of my growth, it's part of my journey, and I want to honor that. And so today is about relaxing into and honoring the space that you currently occupy. Love you.